for the size in North Bay, there's quite a bit of local music going on there. And there's a couple other bands too that have been playing around here. Well, North Bay's hardcore band, My Grudd, they've played quite a bit in Toronto lately, and
the only exposure I'd had to punk rock before I kind of met you and started hanging around those guys was, you know, you'd see one of the Grudds walking through town when you were driving through town or something, and that was it. Just once in a while, you know, you'd see a nice red mohawk and combat boots and stuff. But
when I saw My Grudd at the Art Center, I think it was the Art Center.
I was there.
Okay, so that was like the beginning.
Together.
I don't remember the year.
87.
Yeah.
1987, yeah.
I do remember me, Brett, and I think it was just me and Brett. And we're walking down Hardy. And suddenly I hear, "Hey Pete, hey Brett," and I look up and it's BJ hanging out of the window. And then James comes to the front door of this house, and I'd never met James before. And he's like, "Hey guys, come on in." So we like go in, and that's how we met. And then that same afternoon, that's when we decided we were going to start a band too.
Yeah. BJ and I had talked about it.
Yeah.
Like BJ and I at the same time. He took the first step and fucking cut himself a mohawk early on. Like early on he had a mohawk. And then when we got down south for the first time, the first opportunity I had was some fucking true hardcore punks. I fucking dyed my hair, I believe, a flaming orange. I can't recall. I believe it was orange. And BJ took that time and he came up with a fucking... So when him and I got back to North Bay, yeah, we were like full hardcore punk. And yeah, like, this town had not seen anything like that.
You were on vocals.
Yeah.
And
I
Peter
was on guitar.
Pete on guitar. BJ Brill on drums and Pete's brother Brett on
bass.
Originally on bass, yeah. To my knowledge, we were the first hardcore act in North Bay. Yeah, as far to my knowledge,
I don't know. Yeah, I guess we were.
It was pretty early, and North Bay was pretty isolated. There was no internet, and the internet was not a thing. So
yeah, we were definitely very different from everything else.
Yeah, Kurt Summers wrote lyrics for a couple of tracks, but everything else was mine. Electric Puppet early and short, like it's such a short song, but powerful track. Dead Planet seems to be the standout track. It's too bad Pete's not up here because he's like, you know, I mean that's him. That guitar was his. We went down, like we were writing, for sure, but the songs were relatively simplistic. Not that they ever got complicated, but after seeing BFG, there was a marked jump in what we were doing. Like, that output was directly from him. BFG, perhaps, yeah. I would say BFG definitely influenced us. Problem Children, less so. Grave Concern, again, less so. Those guys, Problem Children's interesting because long before anybody had even thought of the fucking concept of pop punk, these guys were kind of doing it, man. Ricci's outside, back of Ricci's Arcade. We had the back of Ricci's Arcade as a rehearsal space. We were paying for like it was a small room that was attached to the back. You walk into the arcade, and there was this room off there, and we just started jamming there. And we were rehearsing in there, and then more and more people started coming in. So before we knew it, we had a full room.
Right.
And it was never intended to be a gig.
Yeah.
It was intended to be just a jam.
Yeah.
But it turned into a gig. I would consider that our first official gig. And there was like, everybody was in there. Everything that was happening in the arcade was suddenly happening in that room. And it got pretty crazy in there. Capital Center was put together as a food bank drive, essentially. I mean, that was more or less on DJ, that one. The Cortina show was set up by me and BJ. And yeah, that was a serious show. That was a good show. That was a good show. The art center, which is what it was called at the time. It was called the Art Center.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't even the Capitol Center.
That was a good show too, but there was sound problems. But apparently the audience didn't really notice those. But we certainly did on stage. You know, that show to me, in my mind, doesn't stand out as a successful show. I mean, it stands out as a big show, but it doesn't stand out as a successful show. Whereas, like you say, I mean, I had no idea people remember that show the way they do. I remember smashing a globe at that show. Big paper mache globe.
I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a lot.
Yeah, we had a big paper mache globe.
I remember.
I'm not sure
our
if
shows were always like. Sometimes there was good, and there was a lot of bad too.
Oh yeah.
You know,
This is where the old Grudd Manor was. Yeah, we used to practice in the front room. This place. We're here a lot, spend a lot of time here. I don't remember a railing being on the deck either, on the porch, but the old Grudd Manor, where James and Graham used to live.
I had girlfriends that would come and go, but yeah, me and Grim specifically. I think Nathan lived there for a little while. Like I say, people would come and go, but the residents were me and Grim.
Yeah.
It was one long party. Yeah, it was crazy. It got crazy. I mean,
What night was movie night? Do you remember there was a movie night? We'd rent a movie and.
yeah, I can remember watching movies.
It seemed like it became like a weekly event. Where
Probably. When we had the opportunity, man, I mean,
yeah, who knows?
We'd
I
have
just
to-
remember it was like
there was no TV there. We'd have to get a TV.
Yeah,
We'd have to
so it
get
was
the
an event.
VCR.
It was
and
like-
yeah, it was definitely an event.
and it became a weekly event.
Yeah, that sounds about
That's
right.
the thing I remember. And of course we jammed there lots.
Oh yeah.
Wrote songs.
Around 1990, the band finally, and at that point the band kind of faded out. The band blew apart, then got put back together, and then kind of petered out.
Brett ended up leaving, and then it was
Rick?
no, it was remember Sean Ashford.
Yeah, Sean Ashford.
Oh yeah, it was Rick for a short
Rick
time
for,
too.
for a little while,
And
Sean
then
Ashford for a little while.
Nathan, BJ, and you and me.
Yeah,
That was I guess the final one.
yeah. Yeah,
But
that would be accurate,
it did go from 4 to 5, and then
Yeah, for sure.
disintegrated. And
My Grudd fell apart in a
We just lost
wave of ego and liquor, man.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially what happened. I mean, and I played my part, not to be certain. Like,
Yeah, I did too.
Like
We
I
all
mean,
did.
we
That's
just got
what
fucked up. We grew up. Like I mean, we got older at the same time. The reality is, I mean, the musical interest within the act it also started to go two separate ways. I was moving more towards an industrial sound, and a couple members of the act, I don't know, you were pretty
I
all
was
over the
more-
map. You were all over
Yeah,
the map.
I ended up.
You were
going
capable
more-
of doing anything.
I ended up sticking more with like more rock and roll, like old school rock and roll.
yeah.
Good, you're wrapping it up, and I'm tripping balls down. My eyes must be like bugged right out.